What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? Life would be nothing. We bring to you the JFH Path Breakers, a series, a platform, a gateway to open conversations with real women who will share their personal journeys of inspiration and courage to help you follow yours. Today, my guest is someone who started her career way back in 1992 and has never taken a break since then. That's 26 years of working, facing one challenge after another successfully. Whether at home or at work or as a person, she's never shied away from learning and from constantly experimenting. From a shy, timid girl to now being one of the most admired mentors and a TEDx awardee. Please welcome Neeraja Ganesh, who is the head of the JobsForHer Foundation. Neeraja, thank you for joining us. Quickly, just give us an insight into your personal journey on how you started off your career and how you came to be part of JobsForHer.
Sure. So how did I start? So I started working when I was studying at NIIT. And the reason to start it along with my studies was because I was in a mad rush to make some quick money. I knowing very well that my parents would get me married, and then who knows, maybe I'll never have the opportunity to work. So I started working as I was studying. So I don't have an intentional career like people say, right? The usual thing that we say is you need to really manage your career by thinking of the long-term goals, the short-term goals. None of that. Very simple. Work, who knows, marriage will ask me to stop working. But it didn't. So I continued. And in my head, I thought I had to stop working once I have my child. But I didn't. And so it's gone on for, 26 years now. How did I get associated with JobsForHer? So 3 years ago, my previous organization asked me to put up a recommendation on bringing back women on a career break. And to me, that sounded a little weird because I had never taken a break. So I thought, what was so special? But anyways, I did my due diligence. I did some research. And I realized that there are a lot of portals that help women on a career break actually restart their careers. Mm-hmm. So I did the paper and I gave that to my company. But what really changed my understanding of these women and our ecosystem, which is not really helping such women restart their careers, is when I attended a summit and I heard these women talk about their stories of how difficult it is at interviews and at every stage to actually get back into the workforce. And I thought to myself, I should do something about it. Really didn't have anything in my mind, but I knew I had to do something about it. And I came across JobsForHer, who were looking for ambassadors. So ambassadors who could spread the word around about the work that they are doing. And I said, maybe it's a good way to start.
Right. And how long back was this?
This was close to 3 years now. And I became part of this ambassador community, which is, an online community on WhatsApp and Facebook. And since I had so many years of experience, I was able to contribute to the discussions that were happening on those groups with tidbits of, my gray hairs. And people started looking up to me. And so the obvious transition from there was to become a mentor on the JobsForHer portal. And then when I was thinking of quitting my corporate career 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to volunteer at JobsForHer for one of their flagship events. So I came and I said, let me do whatever I can. There's a platform and I have something in my head to do something for this community and for this cause. And Neha realized the passion and the commitment I have towards this. So when she decided to start the foundation, she said I would be the right person to head the foundation. And I said, why not?
Absolutely. This is a perfect match, I think, from transitioning from a corporate career to now being head of a not-for-profit foundation has been amazing. Your journey has been.
Thank you.
But run us quickly through how the decision-making process, like through your career, could be probably affected by your upbringing. Because I hear that you've been a very shy person right from your, from a young age. So how did that transition happen? How did you get to know more about what you actually want to be? How do you think these factors actually affect your decision making in the career process?
I think upbringing definitely has a lot of, impact in the way a person behaves and thinks, and then of course takes decisions. So yes, right. I am born in a conservative family, and I'm an only child. And we lived in Indore in my early years, away from any extended family. So of course I was very quiet and of course very shy. What that did to me was it actually enabled me to observe. Most of my learning is through observation. So I would observe people, I would observe events, I would observe things which have positively impacted me and maybe not so positively also. So when I say positively impacted, it has told me that these are some of the things that I should do, and not so positive, it has told me that these are things that I will not do, as I grow up. So that part of the upbringing, because of, the ecosystem that I was part of, did that to me.
That's a great tip. If you're really shy, you can actually channel your energies towards
Correct.
picking up something else, right? And I think observation is very important.
Everything cannot be learned by somebody teaching you. There's a lot that you can learn on your own. The second part of the upbringing is, as I said, I never knew, and it was never spoken about that, you would work. It was always that you would get married and then, you look after the family. So family, of course, was a big part of the value system. And I continued that. So I always kept family as my priority one. So my decision making has always been based on my priorities. And so family was always priority one. So whenever I had to decide about the roles that I would take on in my career, it was always with a question of, does it allow me to do whatever I need to in terms of my familial responsibilities? And if it didn't, then it was very easy for me to say no to roles like that. So as an example, when I came back to work after 10 months of Sneha's birth, I was very clear that...
Sneha is your...
My daughter.
Daughter, okay.
Yeah, she's 17 now, so yes. When I came back, I was very clear that I will not take on any social engagements or professional engagements after 6 in the evening, because I'm anyways away from the child in the morning hours. Right. So that was a clear decision, right? It may have helped, it may have marred anything for me, but I was very clear with that. But when she turned to be about 3.5, and I was finishing off one of my assignments in the company, and I chat with my BU head to talk about what next for me, he said that, see, there are plenty of vanilla roles that we can offer you, but if you really want to do something challenging, which we believe you can, you will have to make a trip overseas, meet your, on-site stakeholders, because that's what will give them the confidence that you can deliver on this new project. And you'll have to do that if you want it. And I thought, okay, let me do it. Of course, what enabled me was that I lived in a joint family. I had my in-laws, my husband worked from home, my parents were in the same city. So it was easy, for me to make that trip. But that's a change, right? When I said I'm not going to do anything after 6 to 2 weeks away from the child. Yeah. So again, decision making was based on the priorities at that point in time. Another example that I think I must tell people here is when teenage struck, and I think these days teenage strikes when the child is 9. You don't have to wait till 13. I had difficult 2 years, with her. I'm sure it was her emotional in the changes that she was going through, and me with long hours at work, not having the patience to sit and, have a conversation. A bad patch of time. And I was offered a plum assignment. That was to be the account manager of the client, where I was actually doing a delivery role. A very interesting, exciting assignment. And I knew exactly what I would have done if I had taken it on, because being on the other side of the table, I knew exactly these are the things that need to be fixed and, put in place. The client would have been very happy because they have also seen me working with them. It would also have given me great flexibility, because in this role, you don't necessarily have to go to your office. You just have to fix up meetings with your client and turn up for those meetings. You can otherwise work from home. But the flexibility also means that you will extend hours after office hours, because you could get a call from the client at 7 o'clock to say that, hey, I'm very unhappy with this team member, and you have to take those calls. And I was really thinking whether I should do this role for all the good things and the nice things that it offered. But I just thought that if, for example, I was on a call at 6:30 and my daughter, with whom we were having struggling times in terms of having conversations, came to me and said, Ma, I want to talk to you, I would have had to tell her that, let's wait for half an hour because I'm on a call. Now, I may have gone back to her after half an hour or an hour, and she may have forgotten, or she may not want to talk to me at that point in time. And if this happened twice, thrice, maybe she'll never come to me in the first place itself. So I called my BU head and I told him that I'm not taking this assignment, and I gave the reasons. So he asked me, how many times do you think this could happen? Because it's a probability of she wanting to talk to you when you're on a call. Yeah. I said, even if it was just once in the entire year, I don't want to ruin my relationship further with her, and I said no to it. So that's what I mean in terms of your priorities help you take decisions. It becomes very easy. So yes, upbringing and your priorities.
So I think in some way these also become barriers, right, to who you want to be eventually, because you're guided by all these factors that maybe force you to decide, or willingly you decide to take up family as priority. But somewhere, I think most women, I think all of us face similar problems during, whether we want to restart or whether even we want to rise, like you spoke about, taking up assignments depending on your family schedule, etc. So can you tell us what exactly is the three things that women should remember when they try to overcome these challenges? Should they actually face them, or should they retreat and say, I don't want to do this? Out of your personal experience, what do you think is the best way to handle these challenges?
So to continue that story, so I did decline a plum assignment at that point in time, just 2-3 years ago. But today, in the current role that I am in, I don't think I have, those kind of hours. I work all the time because one, I'm very passionate and committed to this, and secondly, I've kind of merged home and work, so it's okay for me. But it's okay for me because now I have a great relationship with my daughter. So we worked on it in some ways, and today I know that even if she wants to come and talk to me when I'm sleeping at 12 midnight, she will come and hound me, and she'll get my time.
But you're also in a better space to give her that kind of time.
Yes. So the point I'm making is all of us have to run our race at our own pace. Okay, so I may slow down today because of the circumstances that I am in today. Don't worry what the rest of the world is doing. So yes, you have a friend who started working along with you, and you think that if I slow down today, she will go past me or he will go past me. Doesn't matter, because if you're slowing down today, you will be able to pick up your pace after 2 years, and that person may need to slow down at that point in time. And if you really look at a holistic life for you, because life is not just work and family, it's not only work and home, it's an emotional being, a spiritual being, and all of those aspects. If that's what your priority and you've defined your life for yourselves, you will make it.
Awesome. I think this is what all of us sometimes need to hear. We all know it. We all sometimes even identify it, but we can't realize that these challenges are part of everybody's lives. It's all about how you look at it and how you want to go further with it. You have to have the courage to go where you want to go. And I think this is a perfect example. It won't happen today. It might not happen tomorrow. But eventually, if you keep at it, it will work out for you and for everyone else around you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Neeraja, give us 3 important pieces of advice as the head of the JobsForHer Foundation, because you've gotten here so far, having been through the different stages, right from entering a job just because you needed that kind of money, from being a volunteer at a startup, being an ambassador before that, when nobody even knew about the organization. 3 pieces of advice for women who want to restart or rise in their career.
First is be very clear about what you want out of your life, be it personal, professional. We think that we know it all. This is what I want. But in my interactions with people in the last few years, and very close interactions, I've realized that, especially for a woman who wants to restart, she thinks, okay, now is the time to restart. But the clarity in terms of, really, do I want to restart, and how should I restart, and where I want to be, is not there. So be very clear. Your decision making, as I said, has to be based on your priorities.
Right. So it's not
where
just,
does your restart fit in your priority
So it's
list?
not just enough to want to restart, right, but you also need to know how you'll go about doing it.
True.
Correct?
That's right. Yeah. The second I would say is network. build your networks and nurture your networks. Now, this is a very misused, abused term. So you have to understand what it means and how you need to network, but it is absolutely important. And the third thing I would say is ask. Women don't ask. Ask if you want to get into a role, ask if you want to get promoted, ask if you want that challenging assignment, or even if you want to slow down. You know, you're already in a job and for some reason you want to slow down and you're worried how your organization will take it. To have a conversation, ask.
Perfect. So, clarity. What was the second
Network.
one? Network.
And ask.
And ask. Awesome. Neeraja, you've been through a lot, and that's an awesome story that you've shared with us. It has involved a lot of sacrifices. It has involved a lot of courage, being from a conservative family that you come from.
But I must also mention this, that the family has also been very supportive.
Absolutely.
So they've not said that, don't
Absolutely.
do things.
Absolutely.
Probably a way to, grow you, but at every stage, both my parents and my in-laws and my husband and today my daughter, extremely supportive.
So an ecosystem that is supportive, and that doesn't come easy as well, right? You have to somehow at some point convince them that you're cut out for this and I will do it because I know I can do it, and it's that much easier if you've got this support system. You have to work it out, find a common ground so we're all in it together, right? So, Neeraja, after this amazing chunk of story that you've told us, let's do a quick rapid fire. Are you ready? It has to be rapid,
okay.
But it can be long. Don't think too much because we really want to know what exactly is running in your mind.
Top of mind, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, one word that comes to your mind when I say the following.
Sure.
Okay. Success.
Holistic life.
Family.
Happy.
Career.
Jungle gym.
Absolutely. I don't know. That's just the way anybody would describe it.
Don't think it is always, a ladder that you're climbing. It has to be depth and breadth, and there will be, the ups and downs. Absolutely. But everything is a learning.
Perfect. And there's so many different options to choose from today,
Absolutely,
right? So many professions that didn't exist 20
Correct.
years ago when you started.
Very true.
Like it was just the corporate scene, or you got into software and became an engineer, but jungle gym it is. So go for it. Leader.
Trust.
Nice. Children.
Passion for what they want to do.
And that's where we learn passion, isn't it? They just, if they want something, they will
go after
do it and they will get it no matter what. Yes. Great. Role models, Neeraja. You're a role model for us, but who's yours?
Many, but the first one on the list is this lady, Pankajam Sridevi, who's the MD of ANZ, one of the organizations that I have worked in the past. Amazing lady, amazing professional.
Perfect. So there's something that you can pick up
always
from anybody that you've worked with also,
yes,
right?
True.
Okay, next one. Very important one. Regrets?
None. Because I don't believe in regrets. You can only have two things. One is you win what you started out to achieve, or you learn. So no regrets at all.
Perfect. So you either win or you learn. There's no failure. You don't lose. This is, I think, very, very important, especially if you're playing this restart game.
Right.
You win some, you lose some, but lose not in the way that you step back.
That's right.
But you need to find that courage to go forward and keep at it.
Yeah. So I say my mantra in life is, what's the worst that can happen? And if what's the worst that can happen is something that you can cope with and deal with it, go for it.
Perfect. This too shall pass.
Yes.
Yeah? Awesome. So, quickly, what do you think needs to change in the workplace for women today?
Unconscious bias.
Okay. One thing that women need to do as, a restarter, what is the one thing that women need to do to get back into the workplace from their end?
They need to keep in touch. Keep in touch with the industry. Keep in touch with the learning. Keep in touch with your peers and bosses and bosses' bosses. Most important.
I think that sums up pretty much everything that, you need to do. Even when you're in an organization, you just still need to keep the conversation going. Don't be a sitting duck. If you're in an organization you like, you're passionate about what you're doing, like you've mentioned several times,
Right.
do not hesitate to ask, clarify, and move on.
True. As we say, you don't dig a well when you're thirsty. So don't wait for that to happen and then start doing all of this. So if you're picking up anything from this conversation that we are having, you've got to start it now.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Neeraja. This was amazing. As you've already heard Neeraja tell you about her amazing story as starting off as an ambassador. She was in the corporate world, but she decided that this is what she wanted to do. So she joined as an ambassador, she joined as a volunteer, and now she's a mentor, one of the most admired mentors on our portal. So please log in to JobsForHer.com, find Neeraja on our portal as a mentor, follow her, and what do they get in return?
So I think every time there's an interaction with me via an online masterclass and I do a lot of masterclasses, at least I'm a moderator at that point in time, but I can also deliver a lot of masterclasses and any events that I'm going to, or if there's an opportunity for a mentoring roadshow, I'll be available.
Perfect. So as a closing to this interview, Neeraja, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Okay, I did say that, I don't make goals, but I think in 5 years' time, I would just like to be doing what I'm doing today, but for a larger ecosystem. So if today I'm working with women and trying to help them, I think in 5 years' time, I would like to have, helped more stakeholders in the ecosystem. They could be men, women, parents, students, all of them.
Perfect. And we hope you will join Neeraja. You can follow her on our portal as a mentor. You can even be an ambassador with us. You can be a volunteer with Jobs for Her. You'll find all the details you need on our website. Tune in. But thank you so much for joining us today, and keep watch on this space because we'll be bringing you more encouraging stories like Neeraja on the JFH Pathbreakers. Thank you so much.